Morning, how are you?
Good. I missed you. We
Thank you.
were doing some interesting things.
I heard,
According to, or what Brian has put us in all kinds of stuff.
yeah, I heard it was a nice
Trails,
bus.
Trucks and all kinds of stuff. I enjoyed all.
Guess we gotta get a bus like that. Okay, we're ready to go. Don't forget to turn your phones off.
Oh. Morning.
Morning.
The grids was stuck again.
Oh, yeah. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Dow. Curran. Freeling. Harrison. Hinkleman. Majerick. Scott. Ballrack. Werfel. Yarborough. Elliott.
Here,
Mr. Chair, you have 11 present.
thank you. We have interviews to do today. We don't necessarily have to vote on anything today. Can if we want to, but we don't have to. It's up to you all.
Question.
Sir,
What is our deadline for voting before it would be required by law to go to a special election?
30 days from the day that Mr. Meeks resigned, and I think he resigned on the 7th, or no, on the 5th.
Thank you.
So we would have, I believe, till the 4th of June,
Okay,
because there are 31 days in May.
all right, thank you.
So I'm doing that without a calculator and without taking my shoes off to count higher than 10. So May 27. I thought he stepped down on the 5th.
No, 28.
Oh, the 28th? Okay. Well, then I stand corrected. We have till the 27th. After that, there would be a need for a special election. Given the timing of it, that would likely be coincidental with the primary, August 2nd. So one or the other. And if it went to a special election, that person would not take office, as I understand it, Madam Clerk.
Right, you'd have a primary and then you would have a general. So it would be
Right.
after the fact that you were already elected.
Yeah, I mean, they would officially take office until January,
Right?
because it would be an election to a district to be created on the 1st of January. Okay,
Need something fixed in the law.
yeah, yeah.
We need to do this.
This is why you have this process.
Okay. And I'm told it would cost $22,244.90. Don't forget the 90 cents
Multiplied by 2 elections.
by 2 elections. So about 45 grand, 46 grand,
If you don't go ahead and do something.
if we don't do an appointment. Right. And if we do an appointment, anyone who has not already filed for a primary would have until the 21st of July to file as an independent, and then would be on the ballot in November. But if you're already on the primary, I don't know that there's a mechanism to withdraw your name from the primary and put your name on as an independent. The clerk would have to,
There's a certain time period. I
Yeah.
don't have the dates.
and that may have passed because the primary filing deadline was April 19. Now, and the other thing is to file as an independent, not only would you have to do so by the 21st of July, you would have to live within the boundaries of that new district. Because the new district boundaries are different than the current district boundaries. So,
And we are filling or attempting to fill a vacancy for the current district
Right.
that would serve Donnie's term until basically January, till the new people took over.
till the end of December. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and if we didn't do that, the special election would not fill the term. That office would stay vacant. We'd stay at 11 through this calendar year. And then anybody who's elected in November would be sworn in January. Clear as mud?
Clear as mud.
Okay. All right. So if we're ready, we'll start with the interviews. I see Mr. Cirque is here. Come on up, Jerry.
How did you decide what order you would bring them in?
I did not. That decision was made by whoever prepared the agenda.
That's what I just said, how did you decide?
So last week, two of the applicants were here. They came over and I asked them if they wanted to set up a time. I had 4 times already selected because I did the agenda while you guys were doing anything. And then I called the other 2.
Thank you. Now, I wondered about them be alphabetical or quite how.
Right.
how did you do it? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Questions are
On the top of the sheet.
this sheet.
Question?
Sir.
I thought we had 4 questions. There was supposed to be 1 that came out, an additional to the 3 that came out of PHS.
Right as the top, there's a statement, please, a statement about who you are.
Oh, there. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad you pointed that out. I might have missed it.
You were so.
It's not like that's in bold face type or anything. so.
You want to do this right. This is a
I
practice.
was asking for a friend.
Your cousin. Okay, Jerry, good
Yes.
morning. We have your application. Please give us a brief statement about who you are.
Who I am. I'm Jerry Cirque. I live in Benton Charter Township. I probably lived in the township about 3/4 of my life. When I was born, we lived 2 blocks from what's now the Benton Township Hall. So I've done a lot of community work here. In fact, community service has been my life for the last 30 years. I help people is what I like to do. I have a bachelor's degree. That's about all. I'm in the Masons. And I've done work with the county. I was on the board of canvassers for a while and I worked on the LEPC and several things with the sheriff's people.
Why do you want to serve on the county board of commissioners?
Well, like I said, I like to help people and it seems like a good place to help people. And I've been coming to the meetings for years and I see what's going on here and I want to be a part of it.
Okay. Can you discuss the skills or talents you could bring to the position of county commissioner if you were appointed?
Yes. I'm sorry,
Can you tell us about the skills, the talents you could bring to this job if you were appointed?
oh, like I said, I've been helping people for most of my life and I really want to be able to go to the county, to the township and, and explain what's going on here and try to keep everything going together. It's one of my strengths has been organizing folks to do projects.
Okay. Is there any final comment or statement you'd like to make?
No, not that I know
You
of.
don't have to. It's just if there was anything else you wanted to add, this is an opportunity to do so.
I don't know what it'd be.
Okay, well, that's fine. We appreciate that you've applied, appreciate you taking the time to come in today and present in front of the board.
Thank you.
Jerry. You're welcome to stay.
I was going to stay.
Okay. Are you gonna grab Mr. Pitchford,
Okay,
please?
no, if you want to have some, that's-
Maybe we can discuss that. Once.
There's a close.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll say good morning again. Saw you down the hall when I came in. We have your application. Would you like to make a statement about who you are?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I apologize. My name is Shokwe Pitchford. I am a current candidate for the Berrien County Board of Commissioners. I graduated from Countryside Academy. I have a degree in political science. I am the executive director of 2 nonprofits that are starting in Berrien County at the moment. And I have dedicated the last 5 years of my life to specifically the district that I live in, that I'm running for and want to be appointed to now, but writ large, the empowerment and the betterment of Berrien County overall. Whether it's transcending partisan lines or trying to unite communities that have been traditionally disenfranchised and left out, one of the things that I want to do, that based on my lived experience, is to see where I came from, a young man who lost his house in a house fire with my parents, to barely getting through high school because of a lot of personal trauma, to dealing with the traumas of growing up in a Black community, to taking that and turning that into power for young men and women like myself. And I want to be a great example to the people of my district, but the people of Berrien County overall, and the young men and women that we know right now are having a really tough time.
Tying into that, can you tell us why you want to serve on the board of commissioners?
I would love to tell you that. So number one, the 3 main tenets that I believe that a Berrien County Board of Commissioner have. Number one, the fiduciary responsibility to making sure that we manage the money of Berrien County well. Number 2, the committee structure, that's PHS, that's admin, and that's finance, making sure that governmentally we are operating in the best way. And number 3, the personal responsibility of a commissioner to be open, honest, and transparent with their constituents. I think I would bring an amazing tenor to all 3 of those things on this commission, but also I think there's something that I would do as a commissioner that's a bit different. I want to be in my community helping build the next generation's wealth, the next generation's prosperity, because we know we have to start building new small businesses in this county to increase the tax base, because we know that we have a pension fund that needs to be propped up. And one of the ways to do that is to start new small businesses. And I don't want to just be the commissioner who says, go start a small business. I want to be right there with you in the trenches, helping you start that nonprofit, helping you find those grants, helping you build that business, because I'm doing it myself right now. I want to serve on this board because I truly believe that my lived experience is going to bring a different thought process, a different mindset. And then working with the board of 12, one of the things I've been saying recently on the doors as I'm knocking doors for my campaign is that there shouldn't be a political aisle. We are a board of 12. We need to make consensus decisions. I want to be a team player. I want to be right here with you guys, figuring out how to best move Berrien County forward. We know one of the biggest problems with the county right now is employee retention. And how do we tackle that problem? I know that we're going into contract with Pine Ridge for EAP services, but how do we go even further than that to make sure that employees feel like Berrien County is a home? We could throw money at the problem. A lot of people will say, if you pay employees more, they'll stay. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's the culture. Sometimes it's getting in there and making sure the person, when they work here, they understand that this is a family. This is a place where their children are going to grow up, and they want to make Berrien County just as strong as we do.
If you're selected, can you discuss briefly the skills, talents you could bring to this position?
Well, one of the things that I currently do, I sit on a public safety and recreation board, and we oversee a police department. And overseeing that police department, one of the things that we heard was that the mass amount of shootings that were happening in Benton Township and Benton Harbor rocked the communities. And listening to the public safety director give his report, He said that there was a fight that happened at the high school that caused one young man to go and retaliate and kill another young man. And there was a back and forth that happened all summer. Community was rocked. Families are absolutely distraught. I asked the public safety director one question. Had anyone actually ever thought about the mental health of the kids, the mental health of the community? Have we ever thought about getting back into this community and bringing that village back that we used to have in community? I talked about how we could partner with the county, with the prosecutor, Steve Perangeli, with the public defender, Paul Jancha, with Paul Bailey, with Kathy Yates, with Marcus Muhammad. How can we start to make this a community issue? And that's what I would bring to this commission. But I'm not just here to show up on Thursdays and make votes. I want to be in my community making change. And I know there are people out there right now waiting on it. There are people right now who I'm working with, I'm meeting, I'm trying to use my platform and what I have accumulated thus far to actually have a real impact in community. I see this as a huge opportunity to do good for Berrien County, but I also see this as a huge opportunity to do good for the young men and women right now who are going to work in the road department, who are going to work in the health department, who are going to help build this county and make it whole and make us competitive going into the next 10 years.
Thank you. You don't have to, but if you'd like to make a final statement, you may.
Thank you. The final statement I would like to make is to the entire board. We could elect or appoint someone who's in the twilight of their career who admittedly would have more traditional experience than I have, but I want to speak for a second just about my background. I have been homeless before. I have seen some of the horrors that happen when families break down, when families fall apart. And what I decided to do in 2018, when the governor was threatening to shut down the Benton Harbor High School, was that I went to that church and I confronted her directly and I said, this isn't right. This isn't what we do in this community. And she responded back to me something I will never forget. She said, if you want to make change, don't come to me, go do it yourself. Get out in your community, organize, run for office. And I care so much about this county, not just Benton Charter Township or Sodus or Hager or the areas I'm running to represent. I truly believe that the next generations are right now waiting to see someone like myself get appointed, someone like myself get elected, because there's a lot of apathy out there, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of people who have given up on themselves, their careers, and they're looking at me when I'm knocking on doors, when I'm out, when I'm at events, and they're like, what can we do? What can we do to have an impact like you're trying to do? And I'm saying I'm not some superhero. I'm just trying to show you that there's a different way. We don't have to keep with the gang violence. We don't have to keep with the gun violence and the selling of drugs. We have a different way out. And I'm pleading to you, I'm telling you that young people right now are eager and ready. They just need more representation. They just need more people to say, I can do it like they did it. So that is how I end my comments today. I really appreciate you allowing me to come and speak before this board, and I hope that I am selected.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay.
You're gonna take breaks in between something.
It's gonna
Is that
do
what
them
we're
all.
doing? Okay, because it's not long. Okay, I'm fine. Thank you.
No.
You're on unleaded.
I'm on unleaded.
I just shut the burner off so it wouldn't scorch the bottom of that carafe.
All gone.
It's off. I think it's- Yeah.
Folks, Mr. Taylor, I'm told, is not here. Mr. Martin is here. He's scheduled though for 9:25. Mr. Taylor is scheduled 13 minutes from now, 9:10. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we've heard thus far? Do you want to switch Martin and Taylor and take Martin now and then do Taylor when he gets here? Sir,
Right now, from what Commissioner Yarborough had told us when she came in, that the bridge malfunctioned
yeah,
in Benton Harbor, and that may be why Mr. Taylor isn't here yet.
Thaddeus got through.
Right.
I turned and went.
Oh, okay.
By the hotel.
Yeah, I didn't know, and I just thought I would make that comment, but
Thank you.
I'd rather go through with interviews before we have any discussion.
okay,
That's just my personal.
all right.
And who is here?
Mr. Martin is here. Let's invite Mr. Martin to come in. We'll flip flop them. I know he wanted to wait, but let's just go ahead and do it.
Yes.
Somebody else has got a charge. Oh, I'm sorry. You're just checking, make sure. Yep. Which is.
You can use the whole thing. I'm giving you.
Thank you.
Morning, we're switching you and Mr. Taylor because you're here and he's not.
Okay.
To begin at the beginning, you want to give us a brief personal statement about who you are?
My name is James Martin, and my family has been in Benton Township probably since about 1908, starting with farms and so forth. I've been around most of that time. I was on the Benton Township Board for a term. Then I came to the Berrien County Commissioners, 93, 94. And after that, I branched out and left and went up to Lake County. I was in government there for a while, township government. And then I proceeded to join the county and become a 911 dispatcher. All my certificates are there. Control room supervisor, training supervisor, so forth. Worked with emergency management. All my FEMA training is there. And was a firefighter up there in the command. I was a first lieutenant on a Lake Township Fire Department up there. And also, then my mother got sick. My father was sick. And I came down here. My mother passed when my mother passed away suddenly because I had to, felt like I had to take care of my dad. So I retired from up there and went on to take a different approach career where I could. Went into quality control. I was a second shift quality control supervisor for Javis Incorporated, which is in there by Benton Township. And then decided my father passed away. And I decided that I was going to retire. And that's where I am right now. been retired for 3 years.
And that may have a bearing on the next question. Why would you like to serve on the Board of Commissioners?
Well, I see that there's a lot of issues that you guys are going through that, believe it or not, were the same issues that where I was when I was on the board. And I just felt like I have more time, and I was getting to know the area more better, getting with the area, with the township and so forth. And I feel that with my qualifications, I have a lot to give to the board in 911, in FEMA, in emergency management, and so forth, and all my skills that I feel would be beneficial to the county. And I want to see this county keep growing strong. And I want to come back and serve my people in the township, which is where I started out at.
This kind of ties into your comments, but what skills or talents could you bring to this position if you're appointed?
Well, former county commissioner, so I basically know everything. The committees that I was on the personnel committee, and I was also on the administration committee when I was on the board. And I figure my 911 experience could help out. My training in FEMA, emergency management, fire training, public safety, basically training. When I was up in Lake Township and Lake County, I worked real closely with the sheriff's department up there as one of the senior dispatchers. And so I just feel that with all those type skills that I could bring them back to the county here and help serve here.
Okay, you don't have to, but we're welcome to hear if you have any final comments you wish to make.
Well, my only comment is I would like to be chosen on this board. I feel that I have a great many skills that I can bring to this board and comments and so forth. And I just feel that I need to help keep this county moving forward with all the everything that is changing drastically here in the state of Michigan and around.
All right, very good. Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you wish to.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead and have a seat, right?
Hi, thank you. Good morning.
We're going right from one interview to the next and deferring discussion until we're done.
Okay, all right.
So, and you're the last one.
Wow.
So why don't you make a brief statement about who you are?
All right, so my name is Joseph Taylor. I'm 53 years old, from Benton Charter Township. I've been a member of the township for 51 years. My parents moved there when I was 2 years old. I served for 10 years on the Benton Harbor Area School Board, thank you, ma'am. I served as president of Benton Harbor Sunrise Rotary, just formed a 4-H club for Benton Harbor, Benton Township to enhance kids' lives. In a nutshell, that's Joseph Taylor.
Thank you. Why do you want to serve on the Board of Commissioners?
Well, I just want to make Berrien County better. I think we're doing a good job, but overall, I know that we want to make this a great place to live, where people work and stay. Also, I want to be on the board to make sure that we enhance kids' lives, right? Because right now, as we think about the state of Michigan, there are over 500,000 jobs available for career and technical education. So it's a way to give back and also help our students and parents retain and get qualified for jobs.
If you're appointed, what skills or talents could you bring to the board?
Well, I bring 10 years of leadership, working with the State Treasury Department, Michigan Department of Education, being at a board meeting like you guys are, also empathy, sympathy for community members at large, because, we have to hear their values and do the right thing to enhance the quality of life for our citizens. So I think I bring leadership to the Barron County Board.
You're not obliged to, but if you wish to make a final statement, you may.
Well, just I would say I'm very qualified. I have 10 years of experience. I've been Harbor Area Schools. I've been through the mud. So, and oftentimes I was the president. When we went through consent agreements and things like that. So I understand policy, procedures. I understand how to listen to learn and learn to listen. And I understand how to work with people. I would say that sums it up.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion. Anyone have anything they'd like to say? Anyone around this portion, that is?
I'd like to thank all the candidates for putting into this for public service. It's never what a lot of people think it is, but to represent just the people. And I just like to thank you for taking the leap of faith.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate what Commissioner Scott said. Just thank you to all the applicants. And it's really important that you guys come out to represent your community and to really be passionate about serving the community of Berrien County. There were great interviews, and I'm looking forward to see how the board decides.
Anyone else? While we were doing this, I asked to verify residency as it applies to the new district, meaning January 1. As of January 1, 2023, 3 of the applicants will reside in the district. Jerry will reside outside the district. If we appointed Jerry, it would be an appointment that would be to the end of December. But at that point, then Jerry's residency would be outside of District 12. Misters Martin, Taylor, and Pitchford all live in the district, and Misters Pitchford and Taylor are on the primary ballot. The filing deadline for an independent is July 21st, Madam Clerk. So if Mr. Martin chose to file as an independent, he would have to do so by presumably 4 p.m. on that day. Against that backdrop, I'd like to know what your thoughts are about an appointment, knowing that 2 of these 4 gentlemen are already filed to run. One could file, one cannot by virtue of the new district boundary. And does that have any bearing on your thoughts about what we should do?
Because we have two of the candidates on the ballot. I think that's something that the voters should be deciding between those 2. I think if we select one of those, it would give an unfair advantage to that person over the one in the election. And my personal opinion is, I don't think that's fair. I think the voters should be the ones who are selecting this, in the end, and it's my thought.
Okay, very good. I have similar concerns. Because the perception of being an incumbent is created by an appointment heading into an election, which is less than 3 months away. So it would, I think, given the proximity of the election, I would favor appointing someone who isn't currently on the ballot. Ma'am.
Yes. When the election time came up, the people that wanted to run did all they were supposed to do. They turned in the application, paid the $100 or got the signatures and turned it in. None of us are fortune tellers. We had no idea that a vacant seat would come up.
Right.
And this is the United States of America. And if the seat is open, then someone can apply for it. We didn't say don't apply if you have already signed up to be, to run in the normal August, November elections.
Sure.
And so I think that is not right. We should have said don't apply. That should not even be in our thought. We have a vacant seat and we said we need people to run. They should live in a certain district. They have to declare Republican, Democrat, or Independent. And so I think all should be considered, or we should have told them not to come.
Okay.
I kind of have the same sentiment that Mamie has. We are all elected officials, so we all know that we have certain deadlines by the state of Michigan that we have to reach in order to get on the ballot in the first place. My issue with this is we as a county board should be making the decision based on the best candidate for this interim position. And we should in no way, shape, or form inject any kind of politics into our decision-making or who applied or who can actually hold the position. And I just think that we've always been, this board, I've been here 6 years now, and this board is comprised of Democrats and Republicans, but we have never acted politically on this board. We've always acted as one. We move as one whenever we make our decisions. And I just think that we should move as one in this decision-making process. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sir.
So okay, so we've discussed maybe not considering the two on the ballot. And then you mentioned, Mac, that there's an opportunity for a third person to get on the ballot as an independent.
Anyone who lives in the new district could file as an independent by the 21st of July and would go on the November ballot along with the winner of the Democrat primary.
Okay.
Or the Republican primary.
Nobody filed as a Republican.
Oh, I don't know that, see, I'm not getting it.
Yeah. So it's too late to file for the primary. That ended a month ago. You could still file as an independent. You bypass the primary, go straight to the November ballot. And you have the two gentlemen who are currently on the August primary. One of those men will be on the November ballot.
So either way, we're still going to have to see who gets the vote.
Well, they would still be on the primary if we appointed one of them, Taylor or Pitchford. They're both still going to be on the ballot in August. The concern Dave raised that I echo is would we be favoring one of them by appointing them? And would that in some respect dilute the rights of the voters in that district to make a choice if we were in some way showing favoritism by virtue of an interim appointment? That's my concern. I don't know, Dave, I'm not speaking for you, but
No, that's pretty much it.
okay. So it's, Jim.
Well, after hearing the discussion, I would be surprised if either one of these gentlemen didn't apply here. It's up to us to say whether we collectively feel that giving one of them the position prematurely for their election is giving them a leg up. You know, if either one of these gentlemen who are on the ballot didn't apply and weren't here today, I would wonder why, you know? So I would expect them to apply, but then I would expect us to talk about what we think is the right way to proceed. And I personally agree with Dave and what Mac has said, that I think you would give one of those two candidates a leg up if we appointed them to this position, because they would be here from now until December 31st. So I would kind of like to look at the other two candidates personally.
Okay. And I would like to underscore, I think Mr. Taylor's qualified. I think Mr. Pitchford's qualified, made good articulate presentations. So the voters of the district will have two quality candidates to pick from in the primary. The concern is, do we prejudice one and favor the other by giving one a forum where they're here every week and our meetings are covered by media? They have a platform while they're campaigning, which they would not otherwise have if we didn't appoint them. Did you have something, Ray?
Yeah, so again, if the other person who wants to file as an independent, if they do, and then we get to the November election, wouldn't they too have that incumbency advantage?
They might, but very well, because then they'd be on the ballot in November and they'd have from now until November, it'd have almost 6 months in campaign mode while being on the board. The only candidate that has no political investment in this appointment is Mr. Cirque, because he would be appointed, he would take care of the seat, and on the 31st of December, we would thank him and bid him the very best for the new year.
Because he does not live in the new district.
Correct.
Because he's not on the ballot, and because it's too late to file as an independent.
Well, he couldn't file as an independent because to file, he has to live in that district as it's constituted on January 1. So he has no political component to his application. It's truly, I would like to help out for the rest of the calendar year and fill Don's seat, and then I'm done on New Year's Eve.
And may I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
What will happen if we don't choose anyone? I heard about the 2 times 20,000, but if we don't choose anyone, can we run from now until December 31st on 11 people?
We can. As Chairman Harrison knows, we have 3 on PHS and they function quite well. Admin can function with 3. Finance would continue with 4. So you'd have coverage even if John has business out in a field on a given Thursday morning and can't make it. It's getting into the busy time. So we could do just fine. The only difference is there's a cost factor.
Oh,
Because having a
what's that?
special election for that new district, based on the estimate of the costs, would be 22,900 in August and then another 22,900 in November. Now, Sharon, as clerk, I don't know if that takes into account that those are already statutory election days. Is that just for printing ballots?
Those are statutory. election dates you would.
Right, right. Yeah, what I'm saying is we wouldn't have, it'd be a special election. It would dovetail though with statutory dates.
Right.
Um,
But you would have to also, I would have to call the Secretary of State just to verify.
Yeah, because my recollection and corporate counsel, I know I'm dropping this on you cold. And I'm not expecting you to be an encyclopedia of the election code. But my recollection from some years back is if there is a special election, it's one special election if there are two candidates. It's two special elections if there are three, because the top two then go on to November. But that when it's in close proximity to the statutory primary and general election dates, there would, at least in theory, be a significant cost savings because we're already geared up to have those elections on those days.
It will also confuse the voter because they'll be voting on the new district and also my election workers because they'll be filling an old vacancy at the same time. So it would be a new expense because of the different ballot styles we would have to create.
Okay.
And right now, we're looking at having the ballot proofed by June 1st to go. So we are on a very tight frame right now.
Well, so $45,800 is what the projection was for the whole thing through the November 8th election day. You would know, is that the right date? November 8th? Okay. The least expensive thing in terms of spending from the public cash register is to do an interim appointment. Let the primary happen, however it's going to happen. Someone's going to be elected. If Mr. Martin files as an independent, which is his right, he'd be on the November ballot with Mr. Taylor or Mr. Pitchford, one or the other. Unless they had a tie, which has been known to happen in this county. And then they do a coin flip. But either way, it would just work its way through to November. We wouldn't spend a dime unless somebody got the dime for the coin flip. And that would presuppose that we appointed Mr. Cirque to be the caretaker for the seat and then let the electoral process take its course and let the voters truly make this decision for this new district. That's my recommendation, sir.
Would it be appropriate to ask Mr. Martin if he intends to run as an independent?
Is that okay with you all?
It doesn't really matter, but I want to keep politics out of this.
I understand. I
And
understand.
that's what I'd want to do. I want to keep politics out of it. Before we answer his question, maybe it prefaces my question that I have. We have three things the way I see it, from what I've been told. One, we fill the vacancy today. Two, we don't fill the vacancy. And are we required to do the special election? Or three, can we not fill the vacancy and not have a special election and just operate on 11 until then? And then the next question that I have is, I've only been here 6 years and I've never been through the appointment process. But what did we do in the past when we appointed other county commissioners? Because those county commissioners that we appointed, whoever they were, and I know we've done a few, then they ran in the next election. So I don't see where, I just don't see. I think we should be picking the best candidate to represent the county and take the politics out of it. That's all I got.
Ma'am.
There was a vacancy and I applied. There were 4 people that were candidates. I can name most of them, or that doesn't matter. There were 4 of us that applied. We were going to be on the August, November ballot. And then there were maybe 2 more that were not on the ballots, but had been recommended that this is who you should take. And when they did the interviews, they took a person that was not running. And he quit, I think, even before December. But
Who was
you
that?
didn't choose. It was McGinnis,
Oh, Dan McGinnis.
Dan McGinnis.
Yeah.
But you all were supposed to choose, I can't remember, another preacher. This is just the truth. Uh, But the four people that had signed up to be elected. And I think when you sign up to be elected, you should be considered. You wanted to do it, and then it's for the people in the community to do the vote.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we should have said, if you are on the ballot, you cannot apply. Simple as that.
Understood.
Yep.
So,
was part of that in 2015 when Bob Woolley stepped down. There was, we have four here. We had 17 applicants for that position. And as I was reading the minutes of that meeting, it was voted down, I think, to five that you interviewed. And then Bill Smith was selected, and I ran against him the following year. I wasn't even interviewed during that first process. But I know I was, behind the 8 ball with him being the incumbent. I mean, he had 2015 and 2016 to serve. So when I ran against him, I know it was a close election, and the fact that he was an incumbent made it that close, in my opinion.
And we appointed him.
You appointed Bill Smith, and then and I think,
Because I was on the board when that
Yeah,
happened. I don't,
right.
but I remember my history and you remember yours. Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
That was-
and that included the minutes of that meeting and some of the information we had last week.
John?
First of all, I'd like to thank all four candidates. Interviews were great. You all bring something very different, and unique, and I can tell that all of you have got a servant's heart. So that's great. And I appreciate you guys coming to interview and to have the interest. To Ezra's comment about bringing politics into it, I'm that guy that believes that every area, I know that everybody represents the county. I understand that. But Benton Township deserves to have this filled in. And so to keep politics out of it, I would not want to leave the seat vacant until that. So I think we're past that point. I think Benton Township deserves to be at the table, and they should be at the table. The region needs to be represented, so that we can all work together to make the county better. I don't think that somebody who is interested in running for the position should be excluded from this process. I don't believe that. And I do think the voters will decide. I believe they will decide, and they'll decide what they want. It's still everybody's responsibility to go out and campaign and work with the citizenry to do it. And so I believe that you asked for people to apply, they did. And I believe that we should select from this pool that has come together, this group of four people, and not just include anybody from it. Those are my thoughts. But I definitely don't think that you should leave Benton Township out until December. I think you should fill it with the four candidates that have applied, and then let the process, the political process that is out there. We keep politics out of it, but let the political process work for the election in the primary. So that's how I feel.
And,
Bob?
I'm sorry.
I tend to think that we should just pick from the four candidates. And I want to personally thank each of them for putting themselves out there for this type of process. I agree that I think not filling the position and having special election is really not a great idea. I think it will confuse not just the voters, but also put an undue burden on the clerk's office, both at the county and the township. So my sense is we've got four, we're trying to predict the future. I mean, Jerry Cirque, for all we know, will sell his house and move into the new township. I mean, he's fluid. So, so we're trying to predict the future and predict voter behavior, which is, I think, not reasonable for us to do. So I tend to think, let's take the four in front of us and pick the best person, and then we go forward.
Ma'am,
And I think a good example is Volrath and me. When I applied, I was not chosen, but when the election came, I won the vote. And when Volrath was not chosen to be interviewed, when he ran, he won the vote. So you can't go by that. It's up to the people to make this decision with their vote. Not unless we had said, if you're on the ballot already, don't apply. That's the only way I would be all right with this.
well, Dave knows we didn't interview him because we were just testing his resolve, so. Right, right.
Out of 17 names, my goodness.
The question about what happened, the other three that I'm aware of, Bob Woolley stepped down for legal reasons. Neil Nitz died, Larry Clymer died. When Neil died, we appointed Terry. I think we had the meeting out at the building on Napier after we bought the building from Tyler's and turned it into the health department. Larry, I think that was 08, 2015, I think. Anyway, all of those, I believe, were in the first year of the term. So, and there's a different legal framework in the first year compared to the second year of a term. This is the first time in my experience. So that means the first time in 37 years that we've had an appointment to do on the eve of an election. I appreciate the sentiment of just pick who we think is the best person to fill the slot for the time being, prepared to do that. And if we do, the voters will still get their chance at the primary and perhaps even at the general election if someone chooses to file as an independent. But in those other three instances with Woolley, Nitz, and Clymer, I believe those vacancies all happened in year one. So with that, are there any other comments? Yes, sir.
Since the discussion came around about me filing for an independent or not, and that was part of whether I'm going to be qualified or not. I came into this as knowing it was an interim position, and I'm still looking at it as an interim position. So the chances of me filing for an independent probably will not happen at all.
Okay,
Because it was going to be, for me, just an intern position.
very good. Thank you for sharing that. That's good to know. Anyone else have anything? No?
I appreciated that you had shared, because that was what I was going to say. I am a product of the process that we're going through right now. And I feel like we have 4 very capable candidates that have applied. And to Commissioner Yarborough's feelings, I echo those. I feel like we have 4 candidates who have applied. We should honor the fact that they had applied and look at who are the best candidates and then let the process proceed for the election. But I do hear your statements, Mr. Chair, as well, of the uniqueness of where we land in this process.
Yeah.
And so I just.
Well, okay. Do you want to pick 2 and send those around and we'll tabulate them? And then if you want today, once we get it down to 2, once it gets down to 2, then we'll go around the table and by voice vote, pick 1. Is that your wish?
How do you do it? Is it this piece of paper?
Yeah, it's that piece of paper with the yellow highlighting on top and,
Everybody's name highlighted.
yeah, let me see if I can find one of those.
Mr. Chair, if I could make a suggestion,
Yes,
if we want to do vote and pick two, like you would put number one by your name and the person, and then number two, who your number two pick would be.
the
And-
numbers don't mean anything at this point. You don't have to pick two.
Okay,
Just select any two or any one,
all right.
but no more than two.
My thought process on this is I would not like the board to do a voice vote. Annette has already had a round two piece of paper filled out for us.
Mhm.
So we could go ahead and do a second if there was a round two.
Okay, well, it's going to be a public vote, though, just understand that. There's no, the only private vote we have, I think, is when we select a chair, board chair,
Right.
Right.
Otherwise, we do that long.
and that doesn't have to be private.
All right.
So, yeah, you can pick any two or only pick one. And I would say do it by a check mark next to that person's name or their names to the right of your name.
Okay.
And then pass it around and we'll add them up. And then we'll cull the list down to two.
I can do, can I leave the room?
Sure.
I'm not gonna do anything while I'm gone.
Mr. Chair, I can read off the tally for each candidate.
Okay.
For Mr. Martin, 7. For Mr. Pitchford, 3. For Mr. Cirque, 4. And for Mr. Taylor, 2. And there was also one no vote for Jimmy John's for lunch.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, are those votes going to be foible? I think everybody want to know about the Jimmy Johns.
Ballot, Martin and Sir.
The BC bit is meeting today, so I'm sure the 3 BC bit members want their Jimmy Johns. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, this time you pick one, not including Jimmy John's, either Martin or Sir. And then we'll tally those up. Does anybody have any comments, concerns before we do that? Anybody who might be listening?
No, she's.
Yeah,
She'll be back shortly.
yeah. We'll wait till Mamie gets back.
We still have one more.
But while we're waiting, did anybody have any comments, questions, concerns? Okay.
I need to know what.
Mr. Chair, if you're ready,
Yes.
the tally for round 2, Martin, 6, and Mr. Cirque, 5.
Good thing we're outnumbered.
Not very close at all. Okay, is there a motion to appoint James Martin to the balance of the term for which Don Meeks had been elected last year.
I'll support that motion.
Moved by Curran, supported by Scott. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Martin, would you please present yourself for the administration of the oath? Madam Clerk.
Sorry. That happened right there. I mean, oh, good.
Where's that wrong?
There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner, District 3, in and for the state of Michigan and the county of Barron, according to the best of your ability?
I will.
Need to make it official.
Mr. Chair of PHS, would you like to have a fourth member, or Mr. Chair of Admin, would you like to have Mr. Meeks' spot filled by Mr. Martin?
Whatever the chair would decide.
It might even have a say.
Put them onto admin, I can get them up to speed on the building.
Okay, Jim, you're appointed to the admin committee effective today. The other gentleman, we know that there will be a competent, qualified candidate who comes out of the August primary, because there are competent, qualified candidates who presented here today. We know the new district will be well served. And you may have someone who runs as an independent, you may not, but either way, the district's going to be in good hands. I'd like to thank Jerry for taking the time, and clearly your message was well received by the way this vote went. And I'd like to thank the board for taking the time to go through this process and be deliberate and thoughtful along the way. With that, this meeting is adjourned. We'll do committees and be back here at 10:30.
Right.